What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily with me, Mike Zakarian, as we continue to dive into Boston's offseason, murky offseason at that, and we cannot go a single day. I thought for sure today was going to be a little bit quiet, but every single day we're hit with some more Celtic news that we will break down in this video. But before we get started, do me a favor, if this is your first time here, or if it's your returning time here, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do me a favor, hit the subscribe, also hit the little notification bell so you know the next time we're dropping that sweet Celtics content. It's good for the algorithm, and it's good for my brain's algorithm, you know? But speaking of algorithms, nope, that's a terrible transition, but Jaylen Brown did, in fact, have surgery yesterday. The Boston Celtics announced that yesterday he underwent a successful right knee arthroscopic debridement procedure, which I said that confidently, but I don't know what that means. But he is expected to participate in training camp without limitation, which is a very good sign, right? I think anytime somebody goes under the knife, you never kind of know how it's going to go and how long the recovery time is going to be. There was some sprinkles of information out there, some alpha, if you will, that it seemed like JB was going to try to just rest it out. He was doing a lot of different press and a lot of different events over the last couple of weeks. I know he did a bunch of stuff in Boston for his foundation. Then he actually came to New York City last weekend and was here meeting a ton of fans, which was really cool to see. And then I don't know if he did the Tatum route, right, where Tatum was in New York. So he's like, let's have this surgery right now. But JB did go under the knife. Seems like he's going to be good to go, like, for training camp. Hopefully this is just kind of like a quick fix. I don't know if it complicates things for the Celtics offseason at all, but seems like he's going to be good to go. Hopefully he heals up quickly. Speaking of healing, too, it seems like Tatum is starting to make a little bit more progress. I don't know how many people saw that Torrey Craig video of him surprising him in the locker room or in the medical room not too long ago and kind of making him laugh, but Tatum seems to be grinding his process or his recovery process out. So that's a good sign. I mean, our two best players both had to go under the knife like immediately as the season ended. Yeah, it's never ideal, but it seems like they're on the road to recovery, which sounds like, I don't know, a commercial for something right there. But anyways, JB, get well soon, man. But that did not stop the rumor mill of, just the Boston offseason that continues. There was a report yesterday or the day before where it said rival executives believe nobody's untouchable. That includes Jaylen Brown and Derek White. Now, that might be true, but I also think it's like, why would rival executives know that? I always try to think when we see these like sources say, but we don't have a name attached to it. You're seeing this happen actually right now with the Knicks head coaching search, which we'll talk about in a second. But I was like, who does this information benefit, right? And obviously this benefits the other teams to get this information out there. It ruffles the feathers of the Celtics. It makes it attempts to have them lose leverage because they're like, oh, you're not going to get a big package for Jaylen Brown, because we know that you're shopping Jaylen Brown or shopping Derek White. Now, and that might very well be true. I'm sure Boston, and we ranked this yesterday, right? But I'm sure they're actively trying to get Drew Holiday out the door or Kristaps Porzingis out the door for the right return. I don't think they're doing that with Jaylen Brown and Derek White. I don't think they're actively calling people up, again, like the New York Knicks, and saying, like, hey, what would you do for JB? However, if a team or an organization calls and is like, poking around, I'm sure the Celtics are going to listen, right? That would just be malpractice not to do that. But again, the reports that like, oh, they're rival executives. I'm like, yeah, okay, who are the rival executives? Also, why? Why would they put that out there? It just felt like smoke with not a lot of fire, in my opinion. I mentioned the Knicks stuff, though. I know this is a Celtics channel, but I don't know. Maybe you're having a tough day and you just need a little bit of a laugh. The New York Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years. One of the more successful seasons. They knocked out the defending champs. They were just a couple wins away from the NBA Finals. They fired Tibbs. Now, maybe the front office had decided back in February. They were like, Tibbs is not the guy. He's got us as far as we could go. We need new leadership in here. I can respect you not being swayed, right? You're not like the result of the Eastern Conference Final isn't going to shake you to your core of what you believe the team needs. However, you let go of this coach and then have zero plan moving forward. They are basically cold calling, like they're a sales team, cold calling these teams being like, hey, what's up, Atlanta? I don't know, like, you think we could talk to Quinn Snyder? And they're like, no, you can't. They have called the Atlanta Hawks about Quinn Snyder. They've called the Houston Rockets about Ime Udoka. They've called the Dallas Mavericks about Jason Kidd. They've called the Minnesota Timberwolves about Chris Finch. It's gotten so bad that Jay Wright, the Villanova head coach, just came out and said, hey, man, I'm actually all set. I'm the old Villanova coach, excuse me, Jay Wright. I'm good. I'm not interested. Literally, everybody is saying no. Even Kevin Durant is like, the Knicks aren't on my list, baby. It is nuts to see what's going on in New York. So listen, Boston might be in a tough spot because of payroll and because of injuries, but at least it's not of our own doing, like what we're seeing happen with the Knicks right now. Like, talk about a team that just like can't act like they've been there before, just out of control from the Knicks. And I mentioned Kevin Durant, too. It seems like the wheels are starting to turn here a little bit, and we're going to see him on a new team very soon. I mentioned the Giannis stuff yesterday, right? That Giannis Antetokounmpo, like 99% sure going back to Milwaukee. So because of that, all of a sudden, KD becomes the biggest desired guy. And you're seeing reports like San Antonio, Houston, Miami somehow is in talks as well. They've mentioned the Clippers as a dark horse. There's another team that I'm blanking on, but it doesn't seem like the Knicks are going to get KD either, which ultimately I think is good for New York. But man, just hilarious. But anyways, the rival executive stuff, I wouldn't put too much into it. I really do think it's like Holiday and or Porzingis is the way they're going to go to cut that salary. And then I think JB and White are both going to be back. But I do think they're hearing calls. I don't think they're making calls. And is that just semantics? Maybe. But I think it's an important distinction. I don't know. I do. We got Sammy Hauser. That's a name we haven't really talked about at all. And it's just kind of in the back of my mind, it seems like he's going to be on his way out, whether you want it or not. And I'll explain why. I was reading Jay King on The Athletic. And he said, this is quote from Jay, the primary reason the Celtics would consider trading Sammy Hauser is extremely simple. As the payroll currently stands, they would cut about $90 million in salary and luxury tax payments by trading him without taking back any money. So moving Hauser and either Holiday or Porzingis could be enough for the Celtics to dip under the second apron. So that's why, like, the tax numbers are just so nuts when you get over that certain amount that just by cutting Sammy's like $10 million for next season, all of a sudden, bang, you're way under. Also, I hate it because I love Hauser's game. I think he's just the perfect type of bench guy. Because he looks the way he looks, nobody thinks he can play defense. And I wouldn't put Sam Hauser on an all-defensive team, but he holds up way better than what the other team expects because there's so many times where the opposing team will try to isolate him on defense, and he actually holds his ground pretty well. So I do, unfortunately think Sammy's probably on the move unless the Celtics go a different direction. But because of, where his contract is and the skill set he has, I mean, any sort of competing team, I think about the Memphis Grizzlies who are losing Luke Kennard this offseason. I mean, Sammy Hauser, in my opinion, is like a better version of Luke Kennard. Maybe a little less ball handling stuff, but a much better defender than Luke Kennard and same level shooter, in my opinion. The other thing for Sam too is that if a team is under the first apron, they have the mid-level trade exception. Because of his current salary, he would fit into that for a lot of teams, so it's not going to cost them that much at all. So unfortunately, it does feel like our guy Sammy is going to be on another team next year. And I know we hadn't talked. We've been so focused on where does Drew go, where does Porzingis go. More than likely than not, Hauser is going to be included in one of those again, unless some big bomb goes off and it's Jaylen Brown. But apparently that's what rival executives think. But I don't think that's going to go down. So that sucks. I really like Sammy's game, but I do think that is going to open the doors. I mean, we talked a lot about Peyton Pritchard yesterday, but get ready to learn what Baylor Shireman and Jordan Walsh. There's been a lot of Baylor Shireman buzz this offseason. I know he did a fun interview with the Celtics blog on CNLS Media just about how he's been preparing for this offseason. He understood being a rookie on a team that had championship aspirations. He probably wasn't going to get a lot of runway to do some work. However, I thought he showed some pretty good minutes down the stretch when he was given an opportunity. But I imagine he knows the assignment is a little bit different. I'm actually going to be out in Summer League in Vegas July 10th to the 14th covering some hoops and really looking forward to what the Celtics product is going to look like. I think we'll get a good look at some of these rookies, but we'll see if Jordan Walsh has progressed at all, Baylor Shireman. see if they are able to kind of put themselves above the rest to prove that they are ready to go when that roster is fired up. And I plug one other thing too while we're here. Noah Dazell from SB Nation, the Celtics blog, CNLS Media, is actually coming on my other show, the NBA Bit, which is on YouTube or in podcast, NBA Bit with Mike Zakarian. Later this afternoon, we're doing it live at 4 p.m. Eastern, talking all things Celtics, the rumor mill, Jaylen Brown surgery, and then maybe even a little WNBA sprinkled in there. It feels like Boston might be getting the Connecticut Sun. There's some alpha for you. But anyways, that is all the things that we got going on in the Celtics world. Just quickly here, before we get on out of here, we're talking a little game 3 of the NBA Finals. But if you've made it this far, do me a favor, hit the subscribe if you haven't done so yet. But man, Halliburton and the Pacers showed up again. Hallie seems to be like hot and cold, right? A really good game, a really good game, he was one board shy of a triple-double last night, 22, 9, and 11. It was a TJ McConnell game. TJ McConnell was just insane. I think he had 4 steals last night. Was just like ripping, like he was a defensive back, picking off inbound passes, offensive boards, doing a little bit of everything. Obi Toppin was out there doing some stuff. So really impressive win for the Pacers, who now, this is like, they're up 2-1, game 4 at home. The pressure on this historically good defensive team, the OKC Thunder, has to be ramped up here a little bit. Because if the Pacers defend, if they go back to OKC 3-1, that's 3 shots at a chip. And man, got to be one of the more unlikely, and that's no disrespect, but unlikely NBA champs in a while. Again, it just, maybe Celtics, if they got by the Knicks, would have played the Pacers and the Pacers would have waxed us. Who knows? Based on how we played against the Knicks, very possible. But man, it hurts my heart to see the Pacers just doing work on the Thunder, thinking like, man, we could have went back-to-back. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, right? But instead, we are paying attention to how our best players' surgeries are going. That's where we are. But again, thanks for hanging out. Hope you had a good time. Make sure you subscribe, drop some comments. I don't know. Tell me what I did that sucked, and we'll see you next time.